Dude, what? Dude, what? You just said you were slapping erroneous tariffs on America's largest trading partner? Dude, I'm just being the president. What the? Oh my God. He's like, I don't know. One day I said 50. Next day I said 100. Why not 150? What the? I mean, this is that we say about Trump. You're not supposed to admit it, dude. Remember, the reason why he's doing this is because he wants to ease the fears of the market. Okay? You don't go on CNBC unless you want to do that. That is the express purpose of going on CNBC. Now, Trump is perhaps the worst person to go and do that because he's virtually incapable of easing people, especially like when the role here requires clarity, the role here requires honesty, and even Trump's appearance on his own is just a reflection of the desperation that the administration feels, and he's a loose cannon. Well, let's hear it.
Doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together, and there's no way that it could have been that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. And these are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a
Wait, you said he gets no pushback in the media? Dude, this is the last place where he would get pushback. Are you kidding me? These guys are not in it to make a name for themselves. They're not journalists. They're literally there to be like, please don't say anything stupid so that like the markets don't plummet. Please, 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 please. That's it. They're having this conversation because they're like, his goal here is to just like navigate the conversation to make Donald Trump come across as reasonable so that people don't panic.
A big leap to go to rigged. And then it also, Mr. President, it makes anyone you pick is going to be, critics are going to say, hey, he's picking a guy that's going to give him or a gal that's giving him the numbers that he wants. So it undermines confidence in the system to some extent. You had, according to many people, all the rights in the world to try to replace a commissioner when it's not, hasn't gotten any better. But that is maybe a bridge too far, according to most people.
Well, I think when somebody says the commissioner is not involved, I don't want to get into any arguments with anybody. Why should I? She's a very nice woman.
Exactly.
But when they say that that nobody was involved, that it wasn't political, give me a break. Look, before the election, I had this massive, massive outflow of beauty for Biden. I mean, he didn't know he was alive. And for Biden, the economy was roaring. It was a beautiful thing. And I said, there's no way this is happening. It's going the opposite direction. And 2 weeks later, they said I was right. But even if you look at the original, the ones from the other day, the numbers were very timid. And then they announced something that made them even more timid on top of it. On sort of a reporting day, I don't know why, it just seemed a little bit more important than most times when they announced these numbers.
We talked earlier that the unemployment rate is still low. It's 4.2%.
It's fine. I'm not saying earth-shattering. No, I will say this. The numbers before the election were earth-shattering. I'm not saying these were earth-shattering. But then they announced a couple of 100,000 to make it look a little bit worse from, months before. I said, where did those numbers come from? So
for as much as you want
to, it's a highly political situation. It's totally rigged. Smart people know it. People with common sense know it. And a lot of people to keep their head under the cover.
See, I told you. His job is to like make Trump come across as coherent, make Trump come across as reasonable so that people don't like panic sell or some shit. The issue is Trump is an unstoppable force. You feel me? So how are you going to make that look reasonable when the very nature of his call here, the very reason why he's calling CNBC is because he's panicking.
Let's move on to this. Which number do you believe at this point? Because if you noticed, suddenly the chances of what you've wanted for months and argued for
Trump is literally like, I'm gonna molest the money. I love money molestation. Money, money, money. I'm gonna molest it. There's nothing you can do about it. And the guy's like, please don't do that. Don't say that. Mr. President, let's move on to how you hate molesting the money. He's like, nope, I love molesting it. I love diddling the money. I love it. It's my favorite thing. They let you do it. They let you grab it by the... When you're president, they let you molest the money. Believe it, folks. I won't stop. They call me the Epstein of the money. That's crazy. That's a twofer.
Months, the chances of a rate cut soared.
Meanwhile, you should stop talking about the Epstein thing. Don't do it. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about Epstein.
Because of these numbers. Do you not believe the current numbers? Because they're playing right into what you want the Fed and Jay Powell to do. They're not horrible, as you said, but, perhaps with the tariffs, some businesses delayed some spending. Some consumers may have been less certain about the future. So maybe we're seeing a slight slowdown in labor, but you're going to get exactly what you want.
Maybe there's a little bit of concern. Maybe there's a slight slowdown, perhaps. But maybe it's not so bad, right? Come on, just say it's not as bad. America's hot, right? Come on. Look, I'm going to run it again. Look.
Perhaps with the tariffs, some businesses delayed some spending. Some consumers may have been less certain about the future. So maybe we're seeing a slight slowdown in labor, but you're going to get exactly what you want based on these numbers. Which ones do you believe? Do you not believe the revised numbers either?
It's not what I want. I don't want that. I wanted it a year.
I don't want those numbers. Dog, you're the president. Like, this is supposed to be an independent investigation. Like, this is supposed to accurately reflect the reality of the labor market. What you want has no basis here. I mean, you could fix it, I guess, theoretically. It is within your powers. But the real issue is not that the labor market is not looking great. The real issue is he doesn't give a fuck about that. It just makes him look bad.
Ago, I wanted it a long time ago. Jay Powell is highly political, and I think, I call him too late. Jerome, too late. Powell, he's too late. He's too late always. He always has been, except when it came to lowering interest rates before the election. That he did. He worked that out.
Who would you replace him with? I know you watch the show occasionally, and we had an extended interview with one of the prospective replacements, Kevin Warsh. Were you watching that day, or? I
was. He's very good. He's very good. He's very good. Sometimes they're all very.
He sounds sleepy. He just sounds angry, resentful, sleepy, in a panic state.
Good until you put them in there, and then they don't do so good. But a lot of them, I think he's a very good guy. I think I say Kevin and Kevin. Both Kevins are very good, and there are other people that are very good too. But
Kevin's like Karens. I don't know if that's good.
A lot of times they're very good. Like this character that we have in there now, Jerome Too Late Powell. He was very good. He said, "Sir, I'll keep interest rates so low. I'm a low interest rate person, sir." You could hardly hear him talking over the desk.
Is Warsh
somebody that worked for me?
Wait, he's doing voices. He's doing voices, sir. Yo, this is crazy.
He was a big fan of his. Not a fan of his. He hardly knew him, but he wanted him so badly. I did somebody a favor. I put him in there. No, he's too late. He's too late. That name will stick to him.
Can you handicap it at all? Who you're, or you won't know? When will you know? And when will you announce it?
I think the two Kevins are doing well, and I have two other people that are doing well. Look, it's in the end there are numerous people that are qualified. Everyone on your phone right now, in terms of at your beautiful studio, would be very qualified in my.
I think he's talking about Jamie Dimon, maybe. I don't know who did Trump do a favor by appointing Jerome Powell. I did somebody a favor by putting him there. It turns out he's terrible, terrible, terrible.
You guys are better than most of the people that do it for a living. But I watched a lot, actually. No, I think that it'll be one of four people.
Are the other
I'm going to make
names...
the decision soon. And don't forget, we have somebody that left early, which was a pleasant surprise. We have a woman that left early. She announced 2 days ago that she's leaving, and I'm going to be announcing that very shortly, too. That will be... Most likely it'll be for the 4 months, for the short period of time. But a lot of people say that when you do that, why don't you just pick the person who's going to head up the Fed? That's a possibility, too.
Looked like you were going to have a meeting, and people were talking about it with President Xi, and then you went out of your way to kind of say other people are saying, I think you even called it fake news or something.
Banks discriminated against me after I was president. What? They debanked me. I do not believe that.
It almost... It looked like you were indicating that you were unhappy or that talks had broken down. And we've had a couple of frameworks or some positive moves. And you know, China, you've had a lot of success with other countries. China is a big deal and a big, not quite the elephant in the room, but certainly an important trading partner. Where does that stand? Will there be a meeting between you and President Xi? Anything planned at this point? What's the sticking point now, and how optimistic are you that we get a comprehensive
deal? Well, I can have a meeting. We have a very good relationship, but I didn't call for the meeting. He called for the meeting. So the fake news announced Donald Trump wants a meeting with China. No, I didn't want it. No, he asked for a meeting, and I'll end up having a meeting before the end of the year, most likely, if we make a deal.
It's so funny because objectively wrong, okay? Especially because, like, you can tell it's wrong because Donald Trump is the only party that has lowered tariffs in the process after literally increasing it for no reason whatsoever. This is perhaps the most embarrassing aspect of his like tariffs regime, where he's like, "That's right, I wanted to destroy China, and then I decided I'm gonna save China." When Donald Trump wants you to know something, just know that it's the opposite. Okay, the truth is the exact opposite. When Donald Trump says like, "I never called she called me first," know that it's probably the opposite.
If we don't make a deal, I'm not going to have a meeting. I mean, you know, what's the purpose of meeting if we're not going to make a deal? But we're getting very close to a deal. We're getting along with China very well. I will tell you, you know, you had a point when I had 145% tariffs on. I put in for fentanyl. I actually said to people, where are we now with China, by the way, because I kept adding more and more. They said, sir, you're up to 145%. I said, you got to be kidding. So I sort of had to bring it down a little bit. But when...
Dude, what? Dude, what? What? You just said you were slapping erroneous tariffs on America's largest trading partner? Dude, I'm just being the president. What the? Oh my God. He's like, I don't know. One day I said 50. Next day I said 100. Why not 150? What the? I mean, this is that we say about Trump. You're not supposed to admit it, dude. This is like what I would say. I'd be like, wow, it kind of feels like Donald Trump is just like making it up as it goes along, just adding random numbers onto a pile. He's like, yep, it just made it up on the spot. It was great. Believe me. I made it up so much I forgot what I made up. And then people told me, Mr. President, you're at 145%. I said, wow, I'm so crazy. I love money molestation. I love molesting the money. I won't let you keep a bag. I will do everything in my power. If this were a CEO of a public corporation, they would be removed by the board. Oh yeah. That's so awesome. That's awesome. It. Who cares, dude? Whatever. Well, what are you gonna do? I can't believe he's on CNBC too. It's like not even, again, and I can't stress this enough. This isn't Sean Hannity. These are the who are like slammed to the TVs. These are dudes with Bloomberg terminals listening in intently to see what kind of decisions they must make. He just straight, I'm going to run it again.
Announced Donald Trump wants a meeting with China. No, I didn't want it. No, he asked for a meeting. And I'm not going to have a meeting. I mean, you know, what's the purpose of meeting if we're not going to make a deal? You know, you had a point when I had 145% tariffs on. I put in for fentanyl. I actually said to people, where are we now with China, by the way, because I kept adding more and more. They said, sir, you're up to 145%. I said, you got to be kidding. So I sort of had to bring it down a little bit. But when they...
You got to be kidding. Wow, I'm crazy. Lost track of the tariffs. Little old me did that.
Was up to 145%, meaning we were doing zero business with China. China was collapsing. I don't know if you know that. You haven't reported it, if you do. But China was collapsing.
China was collapsing. It was over. It was one step removed from collapsing. Oh, any minute, China was collapsing, and I saved it. I saved China.
China is very reliant on the United States. My relationship with him is very good. I think we'll make a good deal. It's not imperative, but I think we're going to make a good deal. But no, they had a thing that Donald Trump really wanted to go there. No, I don't. It's an It's a 19-hour flight. It's a long flight. But at some point in the not-too-distant future, I will. And just to end this conversation on China, I have a very good relationship with President Xi. Always had, other than the COVID moment where I was very angry with him and essentially didn't want to talk to him, frankly, because, it did come out of Wuhan, in all fairness, which I was saying from the day one. I was saying I knew exactly where it came from. But that did interfere with the relationship. But no, I've had a great relationship with President Xi. We respect him a lot. They respect us a lot. They didn't respect Biden. They thought he was a numbskull. They couldn't believe he was the president.
So I don't get it. If China did COVID, wouldn't that imply that they respect you way less than Biden? Like if China did COVID and it wasn't just like, if it was like a biochemical attack, like clearly they don't respect you at all then. They did it when you were president.
United States, and neither can anyone else that happened.
Mr. President, on a different topic, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that you're prepping an order that they say would punish banks that discriminate against conservatives, including potentially Bank of America. I'm going to be actually talking to Brian Moynihan here later today. Can you tell us about that executive order? What's in that? And what do you think the banks have done?
Well, they did discriminate. I had J.P. Morgan Chase. I had hundreds of millions of dollars in cash. I could see if they want to, if they want to do something bad because you don't have any money and you defaulted and they took people out. But I'll give you me as an example. I had hundreds of millions. I had many, many accounts loaded up with cash. I was loaded up with cash, and they told me, "I'm sorry, sir, we can't have you. You have 20 days to get out." I said, "You got to be kidding. I've been with you for 35, 40 years." They said, and I mean, I had all this. I didn't know what to do with it. And I went to, and you could ask him. Maybe he's not going to admit it. So I said, I was informed by my people that we have to get out of Chase Manhattan. That's Jamie and J.P. Morgan Chase. So I said, I can't believe it. Well, I was never in this situation before. I've never had anything like it. And it's not like, gee, you defaulted on a loan.
You have. You have. You have 7 times. 7 bankruptcies. So you've definitely been in a situation far worse than this.
Understand that. That's different. But there's no default. I mean, there's nothing but cash. It's a really, I have a really great company. And then what happens is I call up Bank of America routinely because when I was president, this was after I got out, by the way, I call up, but our economy now, because we're a rich country again, because of our trade deals, we've become a rich country again. But no, they totally discriminate against, I think me maybe even more, but they discriminate against many conservatives. I told that story.
Like I want to click away and do something else, but it's fire. Like he is bitching and moaning about the funniest. I can't look away.
And sitting around tables with other people that were conservative or Trump supporters. I think the word might be Trump supporters more than conservative. And I believe what they did is they went to the regulators. Banks are not afraid of anything but a regulator. They're regulators and their wives. They're more afraid of their wives than the regulators. But the group they're really afraid of is bank regulators. And I believe that Biden or Kamala, and I don't think they're smart enough to do it, but the people that are surrounding the beautiful Resolute desk, the high IQ people that are radical left, I believe they told the banking commission, the bankers, that the banking regulators, do everything you can to destroy Trump. And that's what they did. And guess what? I'm president. How did that happen?
Yeah, Mr. President, you've talked about...
He's like a kid. Guess what? I'm president. How did that happen?
You want success, not retribution. The Justice Department now tapping a grand jury to look into the intelligence community's assessment of what was happening with Russia. Is that you have nothing to do with directing the Justice Department?
No, I have nothing to do. Pam is doing a great job. I have nothing to do with it. I will tell you this: they deserve it. I was happy to hear it. I actually read it just like you did. I have nothing to do with it. But what they did in the election, what they did in even the last election, but it was too big to rig. But what they did in the 2020 election is grotesque. I mean, that was a rigged election, 100%.
Okay, we can't relitigate that. We can't relitigate that.
No, we're back to rigging again. Well, you can use it because everyone knows it.
Yeah, we are.
You know what? A year ago, you would have been upset if I said it. Today, it's different. I say it all the time.
Yeah. because you're the president and he's the market man, and your word has tremendous impact in the one area that he does care about.
100% rigged.
We can't relitigate because
And I'm sure that's going to be brought up
independent
too.
sources, even your Justice Department. But then I'm bringing up Bill Barr. But even they decided that there were things that happened, but nothing that would have swayed it.
Well, they were wrong, and Bill Barr was wrong, and Bill Barr didn't investigate, and he should have. And why didn't Bill Barr give the Dermer report?
It's so funny. He literally knew. He literally knew. I'm bringing up Bill Barr.
Why didn't he give that report? The stuff that's in there, that's all this stuff is coming out of it. Why didn't he give it earlier? I mean, why did it take so long to do it? And why didn't he give it? Why didn't they announce it earlier? Because it morphed. What happened is it morphed into the Biden administration, and the Biden administration buried it. So it's too bad.
How about Texas? Now we're going to do mid-year or midterm gerrymandering based on that's going to be a quid pro quo or something with in blue states now, Mr. President. Did you?
Well, they did it to us. Those blue states that you're talking about. Somebody gave a good example. In Massachusetts, I got, I think, 41% of the vote. It's a very, blue state. And yet it's got 100% of Congress, 100%. So I got 41% or something. And yet 100% of Congress in Massachusetts. No, it shouldn't be that way. We should have a couple of Congress people, but we have none. And think of this, 100%. In Illinois, where you have probably the dumbest of all governors, Illinois, that guy is really the business is flowing out of his state. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing that Pritzker's doing. He was the black sheep of the family. They threw him out of the business. But in Illinois, what's happened is terrible, what they're doing. And you notice they go to Illinois for safety, but that's all gerrymandered. California's gerrymandered. We should have many more seats in Congress in California. It's all gerrymandered. And we have an opportunity in Texas to pick up 5 seats. We have a really good governor, and we have good people in Texas. And I won Texas. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, as you probably know. And we are entitled to 5 more seats.
I don't know. I have to check on that. And they expect...
Check it. Why didn't you check it, Brian?
The fact checkers expect us to check everything you say on the phone.
I want you to check it.
But for 4 years, those fact checkers didn't fact check anything that was said about...
Oh, my God. Yeah, the Biden. I mean...
We don't need to relitigate that either, but they expect fact-checking
Joe, why don't you
immediately.
check it, okay? Because I'd like you to. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, okay?
Mr. President, can I ask you back to the economy and just on some of the things we've seen with the jobs report, the weakness in those numbers that came out last week. People are trying to figure out where the weakness is coming from. Part of it may be because of immigration. Now, people voted you into office because they were concerned about immigration.
Why are they so scared of this guy? Because he could just be like, I'm doing a 700% tariff on everyone, like on this phone call, and then cause the markets to plummet because he's a dangerous, unstable man who has the capacity to molest the money. Okay. He could just molest the money as hard as he wants to. And they're just like, oh my God, please don't molest the money. This is fine. Please. He's so powerful. These guys only care about one thing, markets being green. Okay. That's it. Nothing else. The entire world could be collapsing. And as long as there is like confidence in the American stock market, confidence in like all the companies, and people keep, I don't know, magically deciding that things are going great for some reason, in spite of all evidence that points to the contrary, these guys will be like, Mr. President, I will suck your cock on screen. Okay. I will suck it hard. No one will suck it as hard as I've ever sucked it. Thank you. Biden sucks. He's old. He's decrepit. Do you want me to say that? Do you want me to say that? Do you want me to say something about Biden? I'll say it.
Policy in this country. But if you look at the jobs...
Please don't molest the money further.
Report last week, it did show a 1.7 million drop off of foreign-born workers from March to July.
And that's a great number, by the way. That's a great number. Because it means we're putting Americans to work.
Well, the problem is immigrants have accounted for more than half of the U.S. workforce growth over the last 3 years. And so you wonder if that gets into an issue. And I know you've spoken with farmers who have had concerns about being able to find temporary workers there.
That's right.
And I think their pleas have kind of hit you in a way where you looked at that a little differently.
Yeah, as in you don't care about the humanity of these people, but the humans that you do care about are capital owners, aka farm owners, who came up to you and were like, dude, what the are you doing? People don't want to come to work. People are too scared to come to work. And you're up the agribusiness. And Trump was like, all right, well, let some of the Mexican slaves continue working, which he is literally going to say.
Well, I think this. We're getting the criminals out of our country because they had an open border policy because they were fools, and they allowed people from prisons and gang members and drug dealers into our country. We're getting the criminals out of our country by the thousands, and they're taken. We have murderers. We have people that are mentally insane. They come out of insane asylums and psych wards, and they come out of places that you don't want to know about. You would not like to see it. But they dumped everybody in our country, from the Congo in Africa to all over South America. They dumped millions of people into our country that are dangerous people, and I'm getting them out. I'm working with the farmers, however, and the farmers have been great. I also got the highest vote for farmers, I think, that anybody's ever gotten. And I take care of the farmers. I love the farmers. They're a very important part of this country. And we're not going to do anything to hurt the farmers, and we're working on that, and we're going to be
Bro, he sounds like Austin doing a Trump voice.
Coming out with rules and regulations. I mean, you'll see a farmer with the same person working for him for 20 years. The person's even paying taxes and other things. And we're looking for the criminals, the people that murdered. You know, we have 11,888 people that came into our country under Biden, with our great czar, a border czar. She never called
Gambala.
one. You know, she never called. She was a border czar. She never went to the border, and she never made one call.
She literally went to Guatemala. Like, I'm not defending Kamala Harris. I think she did a horrible job as vice president. She was tasked with a horrible job to begin with from a president that didn't want her to do a good job anyway. But she did straight up fly to Guatemala to say, do not come. Do not come.
To the Border Patrol. You know, other than that, she did a great job. But they had hundreds of people that were murderers, 11,888 murders, 50% of which murdered more than one person in our country. We've already gotten a lot of them out, and some of them are so dangerous we don't want to bring them back. We want to put them in our own prison because we don't want them coming back. But they allowed 11,888 murderers, many of which murdered more than one, into our population, and we're getting them out.
Wait, he also admits why some people don't get deported. He literally is admitting that the murderers that he's deporting have the capacity to come back into the United States. Wait, I mean, all the numbers he just said are made up, but that's literally the point. That's why some people don't get deported even after doing like a heinous crime, because there's no guarantee that they're going to, they're not going to be freed in the country that they sent back to. That's the justice. That's a criminal justice system.
Rapidly.
But Mr. President, I just want to hear you clearly. You're saying the people who have been here for years and who have been even paying taxes, you're going to look at them,
President Trump, people love tariffs.
very differently, and maybe they belong here in the workforce?
I want to work with them, and in some cases we're sending them back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody.
This is new.
You know, these.
Why do you have to send them back then? Why don't you just process them here? What? He's like, no, I love deportations. I love them so much. I got to do a little bit. I got to do some deportations, believe it. It's gotta happen. It's gonna happen. Believe it. That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing a little bit of deportation and then a little bit of reportation. We're porting them back in. After we port them out, deport and then report.
These people, you can't replace them very easily. You know, people that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said,
like, this is so psychotic. We covered this earlier, but I wanted to run it again, but it is such an insane thing to say. He's like the Mexican natural farmer, big build. And when they get a bad back, we kill them, we shoot them, we bring them to the glue factory.
That's interesting, isn't it? You know, these are very,
Mr.
you know, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
No. Okay. So.
Okay, go ahead. All right.
You know, here we go. So you did get the highest number of votes in Texas, so that's true. But when you were talking about,
then you don't have to say anything more, Joe.
I got to say this.
No, don't say anything more.
No,
don't qualify it by saying.
No, I'm
I
not
got
gonna,
the highest number of votes.
You did.
In the
you
history
did. I'm moving
of
on.
Texas.
I'm moving on to your claim that revision helped Biden hurt you for the 800,000. It was in August. There was still plenty of time for voters to see that those weren't real
after the
jobs.
election in November. I believe it was in November.
No, this was before the election. It was, he's talking about the revisions that took place before the election, which you literally used as a way to attack Biden before the election. He's shouting because he's getting fact checked.
August.
And this guy doesn't want to do it. He literally was like, let's not even touch that because I'm going to be forced to fact check you. He said it. He did not want to do this fact check. He's like, oh, let's not talk about that then, because if we do, then I have to go in and I have to correct you. And he doesn't want to do it. He does not want to do this fact check. Okay? And Trump is literally like, don't do it. Don't say it. Don't say it, Joe. If you say it, I'll deport you. What are you, Lithuanian? I'm sending you to Estonia.
There was a massive revision downward.
The first one, the 8,000, I think, was in August, and then later it came out in March of 2025. It went to 598, not 818. But the original one.
Listen, 598. But there were other revisions downward from prior to the election, because the numbers were rigged. Okay, and as you said, the number. Look, you take a look after the election. How many revisions downward there were? But let's get back to Texas, because you said you were going to say something else. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, a record that they say won't be beaten unless I run again.
Are you going to run again? The
No,
Constitution
probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
And you're not going to fire Jay Powell. We'll go all talk about all the stuff that.
Hey, Becky, I'd like to run. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. You know why? Because people love the tariffs, and they love the trade deal, and they love that countries, and they love that foreign countries aren't ripping us off anymore. For years, they ripped us off, friend and foe. And the friend was worse.
You don't. Overall poll numbers, you don't have the best you ever had in overall poll numbers. You do.
What? He said what? What? I'm going to run it again.
Overall poll numbers, you don't know.
Foe. And the
Overall
friend
poll
was
numbers,
worse.
you don't. Overall poll numbers, you don't have the best you ever had in overall poll numbers. You do. I'd say you have one of those.
I have the best. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had.
Among
I
Republicans.
have poll numbers where I'm 71%.
What, dude? What?
I have the best poll numbers. Look,
those are among Republicans. You know you've got.
No. Among Republicans, I'm at 94 and 95%. No, I'm talking about generally. I have the.
There is not a single poll that says he has 71% approval. What the is he talking about? Does someone show him like a poll where he has 74% approval among Republicans or something, which is like very low? What the is this guy saying? Does he mean like a Twitter poll or something? Like Gunther Eagleman. How many of us love the president? Show in this poll. And he's like, he got 74% of the people.
Let me put it this way. There was a gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on CNN, and he went crazy over how
holy Toledo.
How well Trump was doing. Now, you don't put that on because I think CBS is a shade. Actually, CNN's a shade better than NBC. I think NBC is probably the worst of them all. But if you check CNN tomorrow, watch Harry Emden, and you'll see
Harry Emden about
the numbers. But that's okay. We have to defend ourselves, Joe.
I know, but there are other. They can cite. Your haters cite polls that have you down in the 30s, Mr. President. And,
yeah, but they're fake polls, Joe. I had a lot of fake polls. You also have me in the 70s.
No, No, that's not real. What? Who? What is he talking about? Does anyone know what poll he's talking about? Which poll did Harry Emden point to? He's molesting the polls. It was Gunther Eagleman. Shut the up. No, you're just joking. I just made that up. There's no way that he was pointing to a Gunther Eagleman like Twitter poll or something.
I have fake polls. Fox gives me terrible polls all the time. You know, they do nothing but I've never had a good poll with Fox. And then I win an election and I go through the roof. Because, look, I won every swing state. Did I not? I won every swing state. Andrew, I won the popular vote by millions of votes. Even though they tried like hell to cheat, I won by millions of votes.
47% of Republicans would still support Trump, even if he were linked to Epstein's sex activities, according to Ledger. Now that's a good poll. I love it. I love it.
Because the Democrat Party is self-destructing. I mean, when you have low IQ people like Crockett, I wonder if she's in a relationship to the late great Davy Crockett, who was a great gentleman.
What?
I wonder if she's got any relation.
What? Bro, what is he saying? This makes no sense, dude.
Relationship to Davy Crockett, the great old Davy Crockett. But you have this woman Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding. The Democrats are lost. They have Trump derangement syndrome so bad that they can't walk, they can't talk, I mean. They don't know where they're going. Schumer is finished. Schumer, he's like, lost
Mr.
all
President,
of his confidence.
40%.
Mr. President, I have to fact check you. Davy Crockett died in the 17th century. Or not 17th, sorry. Mr. President, Davy Crockett died in the 19th century and was a white man. I have to fact check you, Mr. President. I'm so sorry. There's no relation to Jasmine Crockett and Davy Crockett.
Of the country has
No, he meant Jasmine Crockett. I wonder if she's related to the late, great Davy Crockett. That's what he said.
So you're never going to get above 60 in any poll, and it's because 40% have TDS, and we know that. Mr. President, we used to do this every Tuesday. It was called Trump Tuesday. Maybe we can start. This is going to be the start of something again. But we appreciate all your time today, and hope to be able to continue this discussion on all these different issues in the not too distant future, if we could.
Joe, could I finish one thing?
Yes.
1 year ago.
President.
1 year ago, our country was dead. Now we have
Now it's hot. It's hot. It was dead. Now it's alive. It's hot.
Hottest country anywhere in the world by far. And that was told to me by every leader of NATO, which they do whatever I want. That was told to me by the...
He's like a child. He's like a kid. I do whatever I want. They love it. They love me. They can't say anything. They say, you're hot, Mr. President. You're so sexy.
King of Saudi Arabia, by the leaders of UAE, by the leader of Qatar, by many. We were a dead country 1 year ago. Today we're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and I'm very happy to help.